Pastor Rick Warren said this: the closer you live to God, the smaller everything else appears. Welcome to this week's Hope from the Hills. The Bible says this: whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross daily and follow me. That's Jesus' own words from Luke chapter 9 and verse 23. We live in a day and age where life with its twists and turns and all that it entails can be regarded as nothing but complex. And much of what is around us can consume our time, energy, and become nothing short of major in terms of distractions. Increasingly, technology and its advances have replaced the humanistic element of face-to-face interpersonal communication and closeness. And gone all too quickly are the more demanding but relational building methods of interacting, giving way to the ease of FaceTime, phone calls, and instant messaging. Incessant workplace demands, performance pressure, and the appetite for just that little bit more open the fissure of disproportionate stresses soothed by the seemingly innocent but time thieves of game consoles, recreational sport, expensive hobbies, and online activities. These extracurricular activities are clearly not wrong in themselves, but they all too quickly draw us into a superficial relationship with God, who desires to be close with the very ones that he created. When we become satisfied and content with skimming this relational surface, it becomes all too easy to slide quickly into just calling on God when we need something or when we're in trouble, whilst preferring the rest of the time to keep him at a distance. But the Lord is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger and abounding in love. That's Psalm 103 and verse 8. Disillusionment with life, loss of hope, direction and purpose come when we choose to find ourselves isolated from God. In our apathy of pursuing him, we do so much more of everything else, but find decreasing meaning in that to which we devote and invest our time and our energies. Within the frenzied rushing of just keeping pace with all that flies in our direction, we can easily trade and neglect foundational and fundamental areas of our lives, the very keys that are the anchor and orientation of our souls. Placing and paying clear attention to guarding our heart, devotion and desires can all be said to be contributing factors in testifying that all is well with our souls and quieting us before God with the provision for both space and peace. In short, Jesus can never be truly enthroned in our lives if any of these three key aspects are out of sync or out of kilter. Drawing close to God and allowing him to shape both our hearts and inner worlds keeps us from the seductive language, nature and musings of this world, releasing us to apprehend and be centered in a newfound confidence, boldness and motivation to live counter to the prevailing culture that we find around us. Come close to God and he will come close to you. That's the truth of James chapter 4 and verse 8. So what are we to do? In real terms, it means deciding to do whatever it takes in the pursuit of God, not simply to earn somehow favour. It's full allegiance to the maker and creator of the universe, where any unshakable and unwavering devotion can only truly be comprehended and grasped having known and received God's unconditional redemptive love personally first. It's rooted in the training and disciplining of our desires and appetites, detoxing that from which we find wholly not beneficial, while systematically nurturing, developing and growing a yearning for the things of God. For when we taste and see that God is indeed good, then we have revelation that his purpose and plans for our lives are so much sweeter than anything we are prepared to sell ourselves short for. Close and intimate with God is liberatingly foundational, for apart from him, you can do nothing, and nothing that in the absence of him is ultimately a death to your spirit. If all meaningful relationships require time, then not one of us will ever know the majesty, love, fellowship or wisdom of God and who he truly is unless we draw close and spend time with him. That's where life begins and grows to be fruitful, joyful and centered with purpose, hope and meaning. Life that abides in God is a life that places all things in its right order, rising above the mirage of soul-quenching distractions. That's a life that's grounded in God's own promised word, a life that is satisfied by his Spirit, a life that is graced by his presence, and that is a life that is close. I'll see you next time.